Alright, good Erev Shabbos, everybody. Look at that cow there. What's he doing over there? That's a paraduma there. I don't see any white or black on that cow. Cows in the woods. They got out of their pen, looks like, almost. I don't know. Anywho, well, it's not a paraduma because it's... whatever. Oh my goodness, what's going on here in America today? How Joe Biden can get away with saying the most disgusting racist things. But that's who the Democrats are. If anybody knows basic American history, the Democrats were the party of slavery and the Republicans were the party of abolition, the party of Lincoln. And it's still the same way today. Meaning, Donald Trump would never have the audacity to say if you're not, you know, if you're a black person, you're not, you know, and you don't vote for me, you're not really black. You know, he might question loyalty or something, but he wouldn't go that far. He didn't. Meaning, when he said, you know, certain Jewish people, you know, that he questioned their loyalty to Israel, which is a stupid thing to say. But he didn't say they weren't Jewish. I could say someone's not Jewish. I'm fine with saying that somebody like George Soros, not because of his relationship with the state of Israel. I mean, he's a Zionist, actually, but because he's an atheist. That's the reason why, in my book, he's not a Jew. And that goes back to what we were talking about before with God TV and all that stuff. You know, someone was asking, you know, our brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael, these aren't our brothers and sisters. 99% of the people in Eretz Yisrael maybe are our brothers and sisters. I don't know. I mean, I remember the Kloisenberger Rebbe came to Woodmere once, or Lawrence or somewhere, and he said something along these lines. He said, you know, most people in Eretz Yisrael, fine. Those are our brothers and sisters. He said, there's a lot of Amarats. It's fine. Those are our brothers and sisters. I would even go to say, Ad Kadei Kach, women of the wall, they want to lane from the Torah. They're Maminos Benos Maminos. And they are, they're our sisters. I don't have, that's not what I'm talking about. Someone who's totally secular. Like there was a story, someone asked Rav Elyashiv, if there was a woman that passed away, and she was totally estranged from Yiddishkeit, and he asked her mishpacha, because they said, could she even have Kfuras Yisrael? And he asked her mishpacha, what did she do on Yom Kippur? And they said for, I don't know, 20 minutes she was in shul. He said, that's good enough. Then she's Jewish from that. Meaning, you have to have something. That's my point. If you, I remember people who were not Orthodox telling me this too. You know, meaning, remember when I was first the Rav in Richmond, there was a woman I was talking to there, who, you know, the shul kind of wanted to have her for some reason. I don't know why she was Amanda Omer, to see if I was really worthy for the position of this, you know, very glorious position of a shul that barely has a minyan. But you know, she was, and she said so, and we were talking about, you know, how many Jews are in town and this and that, and then she said, you know, if you're not in shul on Yom Kippur, you're not Jewish. This is what this woman said, you know, and you know, someone that, you know, just because they have a Jewish mother doesn't mean that they're our brothers and sisters. It means that they're not a Gentile. It means that they're under the rubric of Yisrael Mumar, and it doesn't make them a Gentile. There's nothing wrong being a Gentile. There's something very wrong being a secular Jew or a Yisrael Mumar, or a Jew who adopted another faith, an apostate. Secular is worse than adopting another faith. Being an atheist is worse. But adopting another faith also, you're not really part of Klal Yisrael anymore. They're not our brothers and sisters anymore once they take that step. And they totally cut off, and they don't, and meaning if there's somebody who maybe they're intermarried and they go to church once with their spouse and they go to synagogue and they go to both, I would even say at Kedei Kach, someone who's holding over there is still a brother and sister. But it's problematic. They're committing an isser, but we understand where they're coming from. It's like the story with Naaman, with the base Rimon. But not that the mice was base Rimon. It's Bedavka because Naaman was not from Klal Yisrael because he was a Ben Noach. But Mimanav Shach, whatever it is, in any event, still, President Trump wouldn't say, "Oh, you disagree with him about whatever issues. You're not Jewish," but this guy Biden. I shouldn't say Trump. I should say President Trump. I should use the honorific. He deserves it. But this Biden guy, how does he get away with saying you're not really black? You know why? Because the Democrats still believe that they own the black people, just like they did before the Civil War. They haven't changed. The Democrats haven't changed. There's this whole myth of that Southern strategy, whatever, that it changed and it flipped and this and that. It's not true. What really happened is, why did so many people in the South become Republican? Is because a great many people in the South stopped being racist, and they're embarrassed of their racism. I see much more racism and bigotry, whether it's soft bigotry or whatever it is, in the North than I did when I lived in the South. I lived 5 years in Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy. I never experienced bigotry. I never experienced racism there. But in New York, you see it every day. And the chutzpah of how the Democrats could get away with calling Republicans racist. It's one thing that they want to say they're not racist, but to have the chutzpah to say that the Republicans are racist. Now, first of all, it's not true when the Democrats say that they're not racist, because they are. They haven't changed. But even if they did, that doesn't automatically mean that the Republicans are now therefore racist because the Democrats are no longer racist. I mean, you think about how stupid these things are, the way people think, it's just emotional because they don't think with their minds. There's no logic here. It's just emotions. Oy, tatoi futter. And the thing is with the Democrats, a bissel weiter. Can you imagine if the Nazi Party continued to exist in Germany after World War II, and then had the chutzpah to say that whatever party opposed the Nazi Party, they're the real racists, and they're not racist anymore. They're still calling themselves Nazis, but they're not racist anymore. That's what the Democrats did after the Civil War. They haven't changed. I don't understand how they got away with this. It's like the Nazis said, you repeat the lie enough times, people are going to believe it. And that's what the Democrats do. How they get away with this, I don't understand. That they can go and that Biden can say something so horrifically racist, as if to say that if you don't support him, you're not really black. Much worse than what President Trump said about Jewish people not supporting him. And what he said about loyalty, it's not necessarily, even though a lot of people are interpreting it to be about Israel, which upsets me, but I can hear, he could say the other things, meaning he sees his daughter and son-in-law, who it's not just about they happen to be they're religious Zionists, it's something else, but they're Shomer Torah mitzvahs, and most of the people who are strongly opposing President Trump they're not Shemesh Shabbos. You have some who are not, who support him, which is gewaldic and wonderful, because a lot of those people are really Orthodox in their hearts. They're just not ready to be Orthoprax yet. That's fine. None of us are perfect. I'm also not 100% Orthoprax. We try our best, and we fail every now and then. Gesundheit. We're still part of Klal Yisrael like that, And I'm not saying that that's a litmus test necessarily. What I'm saying though is that still, the truth is, if you're siding with communists, with people who not only don't believe in God, but who believe there's no God, with people who fight against religious freedom, then I don't understand why. I understand, people in the old days, all right, they became Democrats because FDR was giving them free stuff, and that's what's still to today. And things were really bad, the Depression and this and that. And on one hand, it's a positive thing that, after FDR, it became much easier to keep Shabbos because it became a 5-day work week. That's a good thing there, but other than that, he did a lot of bad things, and he was a horrifically racist person. FDR, horrifically racist. He locked up the Americans of Japanese ancestry in internment camps, essentially concentration camps. He wouldn't bomb the trains to Auschwitz, to the death camps, and so forth. And he did, and there's a story. He went to visit the king of Saudi Arabia, and he was chuckling about how the king had black slaves, and he thought it was he called it, oh, this is a hoot. That's what FDR said. He was a racist. He wasn't appalled by slavery still existing. He thought it was something quaint. Rahman al-Islam. Because this is who the Democrats are. I mean, the one I don't really understand of all of them is the guy from Star Trek that played Sulu. This guy, he was locked up in an internment camp by a Democrat, and yet he's a Democrat. I don't understand. So you say, well, he's gay. What's the guy's name? Whatever it is. So what? President Trump is probably the most pro-gay president they ever had. He entered the White House not opposing the so-called gay marriage, whereas Obama probably really was for it the whole time, but he made this big show of like, oh look, I'm really against it, but now I'm for it, and this and that, and blah blah blah, and he had to go on TV at 8 o'clock at night at prime time to say, my kids talked to me and they explained to me how important this is and how I should change my mind on this issue. Made a whole show, which we know was all lies. We knew what he held all along. It's just he figured he couldn't get elected if he really was honest, which really Bernie Sanders has proven that no Democrat can really get elected if they're honest, outside of Vermont. Not that Bernie Sanders is the most honest person, but as far as Democrats go, he's kind of honest. I guess AOC is also, I don't think she's really honest. I think she doesn't even know what she believes. I think she's just a dummy. But this is what's going on in the world. I mean, after she was in Congress, I should run for Congress. This is just ridiculous. This is who we have in Congress, and not only but our congressmen, because they had to gerrymander Kingston into our election district. If it wasn't for Kingston, John Faso was an upstanding, real politician, a statesman, someone who reached across the aisles, he would have won by a landslide. They had to gerrymander Kingston into our district when Kingston belongs in the Albany district. But the Democrats, they do their gerrymandering to silence the rural voices. And this guy is so extreme left wing. He's not. He doesn't recognize. He's not representing his constituency. He's representing the Democrat Party platform. And it's ridiculous how he gets away with it in such a pretty purple district, and he's pretty much ignoring wide swaths of our district by holding on to ideology that's contrary to what most of the people in the rural communities believe. And if anything, really, if you want to say somebody's a race traitor, which I think that's an appalling thing to say, but what Biden said was worse. He said, you're not even black. But it's a race traitor to go be a Democrat, because that's the party of slavery, and the fact was that so many of the people, they started voting Democrat by FDR's time because they had no choice, because they were starving to death. And that's what's going on now. That's what the Democrats see. If they can starve people, if they can ruin the economy, if they can make people suffer, then they can grab power. And how they're getting away with this is it's horrifying. And it's really upsetting and sad that this is what the world has come to. So, but I won't say that because it's not nice and it's impolite. But yet somehow Joe Biden, he can get away with saying it. Horrific. No, I've rambled on for too long already. Should really say some different Torah or something, but that should be a separate video, most likely. But anyway, doesn't look like we're going to have a minyan this Shabbos. Nobody wants to daven with a minyan. The people are still too scared. So Isaiah is this. This is where we're holding. We have maybe 3 people for a minyan. So, the Irish will helfen. Should be zoichet to see all kinds of good things. And it was a shik in them gold tzedek b'mheir b'meinu amen.